So we do all these hiking videos so that we can remember all the highlights and maybe the not quite so memorable ones of our trips. And so we created this channel, and it's for family and friends, and we had distant relatives that used to watch it, and then we got strangers subscribing and watching and expressing interest and commenting, and we started to think, well, this is a darn fun thing to do. But we don't make videos for anyone else, they're for us, with the exception odd segment that perhaps talks about a tip or trick or something like that. And we're not monetized, and we don't do this because we have any hopes of it or even desires for it. I got approached by a company who was asking us if we'd feature a product of theirs, which was for van life, in a video. And I thought, well, that's exciting. They wanted to do a gifted collaboration. And so anyway, we weren't in a position to receive anything because we're on the road. And so I said, well, we've got a product of yours, so we'll feature that, which was certainly a tip I would include in a video anyway. So this is as close as we come to sponsored. So Living in a Bubble, their marketing department asked us to feature their product in a video, and it suggested various ways of recompensing us. But for now, here is the screens that we bought from them. We originally got a fly screen, which was just a piece of nylon screen with a bunch of magnets. I mean, I cut them to size, and I bought the magnets separately in the hardware store, and we used to put them on the inside of the van and have the fly screen there, and everything was great. But there's a problem, which Kaya's just about to show us. You see, the fly screen would come down here, and you could use magnets everywhere but on this bottom surface. So it didn't really seal, but that worked for a while. And then we discovered these from Living in a Bubble. So what they do is they're cut to fit. This is basically specifically for the Ford Transit. They go on the outside, but they're a sleeve that goes over the window. And there's magnets all the way along the bottom. So this is the difference, is the fact that the screen is on the outside and magneted along the bottom. And then just because of tension, it's held all the way around the door. Now, we had the double-size mirrors, and these ones are not supposed to fit the double-size mirrors, but guess what? Jenny bought them without understanding what they meant by double-size mirrors. So they do work. They connect, and they secure, and they keep the bugs out. And maybe someday we'll be able to upgrade to ones that do cover the double-sided mirrors, because it takes just a tiny bit longer to put them on if you're trying to go around the double-sized mirrors. And the other thing is that we have these shields at the top of the doors that cause the rain to go out, and so you can have the window open if the rain's going straight down, and it goes over those just fine. The other thing is that they fold up nice and small and go in a little bag, and they hide in the door in a lower pocket right down the bottom. They're not there now because they're on the windows, but they go there, and we never really can get to that pocket anyway, so they're just so easy to store. So that was one tip that we learned in all our times on the road. And by the way, when you put the window down, like I've got them down halfway right now, but you could just put them down like a couple of inches. And if you then have these fans, these are kind of a no-name, but they're trying to be a bit like the Max Air, which is pretty popular. When you turn these on, and I have two of them, probably only needed one, but I have two. And when you turn them on and then you open the window, the gush of air going in there is substantial. You can really change the air in the van. And that means you can survive a fair amount of heating getting into the van from sun outside. So I want to show a couple of tips regarding actually these kinds of containers in general. This could be a gas can, but it's a water container. These tops and you generally have underneath here a spout. I took my spout out because I didn't want to use it. I added a gasket here because without the pour spout in the container, the seal that comes with it is on the spout. So I added one. It's just a piece of homemade gasket, and so that seal's on here. Now here's an idea. So I've got this piece of vinyl hose as a sample. Suppose I wanted to run that into this bottle, either because I'm pouring gray water into it or because I'm drawing drinking water out of it. And ignore the fact that there's a hole drilled in this one with a vinyl hose going into it, which is another way to get the water out. So by having a hole cut in this, what used to be the seal part, I can put a tube down it. And that is better than having the tube going down without all of this on here. And the reason for that is that when you're driving, the fluid in the container can slosh around, which is especially annoying if it's gray water. But if, in my case, if it's a full drinking water tank, I get dribbles all over the step, all over the galley. So I wanted to suggest that's one solution. Now in my case, it wasn't the right solution because I wanted to be able to fill the water tank without losing my suction in here. This would be full of water going up into the water pump. And so the idea is I can now fill the tank. And so in that case, I'm putting the seal in and actually sealing this except when I'm filling it. The point is that these tops, they sell them as 3-packs where they sell diesel containers. These are yellow because they're for diesel containers. And so I bought extras and then was able to, for instance, destroy this one by drilling a hole in it. I used that one because I kind of forgot where I put the original white one that came with it. Filling your drinking water jug from these little used vinegar containers has one advantage, is that when you walk into a place that has a free bottle filling dispenser, you can fill these and it doesn't look like you're filling your RV. It's a bit slow. And then you come out and pour it into your RV. I find these vinegar bottles stack really well. You can take them into the store to fill them easily, and yet I've got enough water in there stacked very conveniently and not taking up much space to fill my other container when it gets empty. So one tip we learned was for garbage bags. These doggy bags, they're for large dogs, and you'll notice they have a handle, and we found that these were really great in terms of space saving. You have to basically dispose of one every day, but we're surprised to find that if you have a great big garbage bag and you try to dispose of it, a lot of places have little holes in garbage cans and so on. They're trying to stop you putting household garbage in. Well, these ones go in real easy, and people don't get upset at you throwing things out. But we tend to bring about enough for about 2 a day in case we need that many. We get these in the Canadian dollar store chain Dollarama. They're very inexpensive, and I'm sure something similar is available in the United States, possibly even in a dollar store.
Okay, what's your strategy you're talking about?
Regarding battery-operated power tools, which are a nice thing to have when you're along on a drive. So I started by choosing a battery that I liked, and I got 2 different sizes with me because I had room for them. And also the lighter one is nicer on some of the smaller tools. Now there's a chainsaw in the back, which definitely needs the heavy battery. And the chainsaw would be useful if I was in a back road and all of a sudden there's a tree across it. Also, it charges from a very lightweight charger. I wish it was 12 volt, but I have to put it through a little inverter. So I have an auto trouble light, which fits onto those batteries and is really bright. And we use it as a desk lamp, as well as I can use it outside or whatever when I need a lot of light on something. I also have a soldering iron that works off that system. And it turns out it's a really nice soldering iron. I really like my hand drill. I've used this a lot of times instead of just using a screwdriver. And finally, this is my tire pump. Now in the van, we have to air up and air down our tires depending on the road conditions, and as well as the weather, if it gets hot or cold. This one's really nice. It's got a flashlight that points in case you're doing this at night, as well as a lit display, and it has no trouble powering up 60-pound tires.
I think your dog is impatient.
We're not allowed to do this, are we, Kaya? Water filtration. If I'm trying to get water to fill my tank in my camper van, it's not always potable, and sometimes there's like a wild stream or something that I can use. So I have this kit. I used to take with me backpacking, and it seems to work fine for the van. However, it was a squeeze system, so the Sawyer is a well-known filter. It's very lightweight, and the idea was it would screw onto a pop bottle or a bladder bag, and you squeeze it and out would come the water, and you'd fill your drinking water bottle while you were en route. Well, for the camper van, we want to fill a 22-liter tank, which is pretty small for camper vans. But if I just need some more liters, and I have an afternoon when I'm parked somewhere like I am now, I can filter water. And so I use the same system, even though there probably are better systems that I haven't used. I so seldom do it that I might as well just carry on with this. So the difference is that I don't do the squeeze method. I use this big a hose. I connect the hose to the output of the filter. I then screw this onto a bladder. It's a bladder that I've cut the top out of, and then I've put this is actually for securing tarpaulins, and then I use this rope to hang it. I found that about a 10-foot drop is really nice, and so you have to get all the air out of the hose and have it solid water, and the drag from the hose for 10 feet into the receiving vessel ends up being enough to have it trickling. In maintaining the filter, before you use it, you have to backwash it. Now I store it because it might freeze. I store it with no water in it, so you actually have to force air in through it with this syringe. Right now it's empty. I'm about to backwash it. It partly primes it and partly cleans it out because it could still have some dirt at the front end of the filter. So with the bladder hung and filled and the filter attached, I'm holding this at an angle so that the water comes down. I'm trying to get it air bubble free for maximum suck. This priming activity appears to be necessary to make this system work. If you just simply hang the hose there, a few dribbles come down. So I do this all the way down the hose till I get to where it's going to go into a container. As I go lower down the hose, the level of the water starts to accelerate through the hose until it's actually a trickle as opposed to dripping when I get down to the ground. So once it comes down, I let it dribble for a while. Just the idea is it's flushing water through the hose even though it was sanitized after last use. And so a couple of minutes later I look in the bottle and sure enough there's water in it. The source I'm using right now is a little stream right behind my campsite coming down out of a mountain. It's probably pretty clear, but I always like to filter it. And it took pretty much exactly an hour to fill a 4-liter vinegar container. So there you have some tips and tricks that I've learned, and maybe I'll have another collection of them coming up in another video.